sense, but I think I can help you with it. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So yeah, a couple questions off the top of my head. Just curious, how is it appraised? Like, is it what the loss of value is to the grantor, or is it the gain of value to the grantee, or a mixture of both?
Well, is this? There are specific rules if it's something like an eminent domain action,
Okay.
um,
Private party to private
and so
party.
if private party to private party. So, yeah. So, I mean, it really shouldn't make a difference what the value is. The reason I say that is the federal government and any government agency, if they're going to condemn a property, there are some specific rules about what they can pay, and that
Hmm.
drives how you would deal with that.
Hmm.
That those constraints aren't there for private to private. Okay,
Okay. Got
so
it.
that does tend to change things a little bit. Um,
Okay.
Ordinary, I mean, if you were a if you so the scope of the appraisal would have to take that into account. So if you were asking for an analysis of your property based on the on whether or not it had an easement, before and after it had an easement for access,
Yeah.
that's one number.
Yeah.
Or if you're asking what is the diminution in value of the adjacent property after it grants you an easement,
Right.
that's a different question.
Right.
Either one can be used for your negotiation.
Yeah.
It's just that the
Yeah, it's a
report has
funny
to make
lot.
that clear.
It's a funny lot. My expectation is that my lot, without an easement, is basically worthless, and with the lot, it's worth close to $1 million. Um, and that the loss of use to the other party is very little. So there's my point is
Yeah.
there's going to be a very wide disparity between those two numbers. So what do you do in such a case? Of course, he's wanting to go off of the big number, of course, and so
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Well, there are. I mean, one of the things we would do is look at there's before and after under both those scenarios, and they're going to produce widely divergent numbers, and
mm-hmm.
then you'd negotiate. Um,
Okay,
there are also another methodology would be to look at purchases of easements in these circumstances.
yeah,
Um, I mean, that is a method that can be used, but I would say that the reliability isn't going to be great because the
right,
circumstances differ so much between
yeah,
properties.
right,
You know,
right.
some
So
apply on a property. Yeah.
okay, so when I hire
Yeah.
you, which direction do you go to come up with a number? Do you do the looking at other? Does it just depend on the specifics of my situation?
Well, I mean, I assume that you're in this circumstance um, um, where you let's see, you're the owner of the property. You're going to be benefited, so you want it to
Yeah.
be the lower amount.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So
Yep.
so yeah. So you would ask me to appraise your neighbor's property
Right.
and the impact to it. So you're not asking me to appraise your property. You're asking me to appraise your neighbor's property
Oh,
and the
yeah.
diminution because of that.
Right. So here's where I expect this to go with this situation is, whatever number I come up with, whether, I've already offered him cash and he blew that off. So then if I hire you to appraise his, my guess is that he'll blow that number off too. But the number that he's going to want from us is I'm not going to accept. I will sue him before I do that. So really, what I'm curious is, if this goes to court, how does the court arrive at a number to be paid?
Yeah. Well, and that's where it ends up going. And so if um, if you sue him um, for access, and his is the most reasonable and only access alternative,
It is.
the likelihood is very okay. So in Washington, you can't be landlocked.
Right.
So it's highly likely that you would win the lawsuit.
Right.
You might spend $20,000 on legal fees getting there.
Happy to do
Um,
so.
and yeah, and if the judge says that there's another alternative, then that costs you more to develop, then you may be stuck with that.
There
But if
definitely
this
there
is
yeah
really
there definitely is no other option, and this one is an easy option, and there is no other option.
okay, well, and so at that point, um, then the most realistic analysis is going to be, the compensation due him for the impact on value, and then I think you negotiate knowing that that the analysis based on the benefit to your lot isn't realistic because you
Yeah,
will win the lawsuit
right,
and it will just be a matter of spending a little bit of money. Your negotiating room is really the cost of litigation,
right,
and
exactly.
and you probably need the first appraisal just to start the process, and then you might have to actually, pursue litigation to get his
Yeah,
attention. But
right.
you're going to win the case. It's just a matter of if it's the only option, then the judge will almost certainly grant that because you
Yeah,
can't landlock the property.
yeah. It's, I mean, it's to me, it's a no-brainer. So then, yeah, let's do that. Let's, can we go forward and have you appraise it out, the loss of the diminution of value to him, and then I expect that he'll blow that off, and then my next move is going to be, I'm going to say, okay, here's the deal. I'm not going to pay you $100,000 for this, so you can accept what I'm offering, or we can go to court and do it that way.
Yeah,
Sound
yeah,
fair? Okay,
and
cool.
because it is a bit of a process, but that's and then
Yeah,
I could end up being called to testify on that, and
yeah,
that's the way it works.
yeah. Okay.